To calculate my test statistic, I first have to calculate my sum of squares for the average group, which is group 1, and my sum of squares for the overweight group, which is group 2. To calculate the sum of squares, you subtract the mean from each x. But to first get the mean, you have to add up all the times and divide it by the n, which in this case is 33. So the mean is 31.36. After you square the answers from when you subtracted it, you add up all the squares, and this is your sum of squares for the first group, which is 3,113.64. I do the exact same thing for my second group, and the sum of squares is 3,447.37. I then calculate my degrees of freedom. In this case, it's 32 for the first group and 37 for the second group, for a total degrees of freedom of 69. I then calculate my critical value, which is 1.9949. Next, I calculate my pool variance. I do this by adding up both the sum of squares and dividing it by the degrees of freedom. The pool variance is 95.09. I then have to calculate my estimated standard error. Estimated standard error is equal to the square root of the pool variance divided by the n of group 1 plus the pool variance divided by the n of group 2. My estimated standard error is 2.32. I calculate my t-statistic. First, I have to subtract the sample mean difference, which is the mean of group 1 minus the mean of group 2, which is 6.62. And subtract the mean difference, which is U1 minus U2, which should be 0. I then divide my estimated standard error into this. So 6.62 divided by 2.32 is equal to 2.85, which this is my t-statistic. After seeing that my t-statistic is greater than my critical value, I'll reject the null hypothesis. Then I calculate cohens D to determine the effect size. I calculate cohens D by dividing my sample mean difference by the square root of the pool variance. I get 0.68, which according to the cohens D graph, this is the medium effect size.